So, speaking of traumatizing moments.
Holy shit.
Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 4.
Yeah. So I just want to say this shit moves. I did not expect for what happened to have happened so early in the episode. Like, I almost fell out of my chair when the special grade curse showed up. Like, and there's video footage of it too, but I'm not here to fucking advertise that. I'm here to say that this shit is fucking wild. The fact that they already threw the clash of ideals in our fucking face when Yuji was like, yo, we gotta take the body back. And I'm like, no, the fuck you don't. Like, y'all are in a domain. Shit clearly ain't right. Like, something's not right. And I'm like, no, don't do this like dumbass protagonist bullshit. And then Megumi is quick to check his ass and was like, this guy was a piece of shit in real life. Fuck his body. And then he was like, also, you need to really think about your like ideals for saving people. And I'm like, damn, we already getting to this shit already? Like, what the fuck? And then Nobara's in the background doing her shit. And I'm just like, and then all of a sudden, shit just starts to immediately hit the fan. When Nobara like went down into like the little like alternate domain, I thought that her like she got mauled or something. Like, I thought the bottom half of her body was gone. Because
yeah, that was you just saw body horror, so you're like, oh well, now we know which one dies.
Yeah, I'm just like, so she's gone, but she wasn't gone. She honestly kind of didn't get that much of a showcase this episode, which whatever, I don't really care. But
well, I mean, she got to have her fun last episode.
I just want to highlight also the music in this episode is extremely typical of horror in general because of those fucking violins and the minor keys and the tritones. You always do it. All of you fucking sound, all of y'all do it. And I know it's part of the genre, but oh my God. Every time it takes me the fuck out. The fact that, I don't know, this episode was really, 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 really fucking good. From just the display of the power levels, it was just so in your face, and just like it was a reality check. It was like a hardcore reality check, like very quickly. When Megumi was like in the domain and he summoned that bird, when the bird's talons went around his shoulders, I was like, oh, that nigga gone too. Like, I thought the curse had caught up with him. Was like, fuck you. Also, the bargaining with Sukuna, and Sukuna basically being like, I don't give a fuck what happens.
Bitch, I will kill you and your homie.
I will kill all you niggas. You think I'ma save you?
His first words when he was out and about in the real world were a threat to kill all the women and children nearby.
And he stuck to that shit. I legit was just like, wait a second. So this isn't even gonna be a like, hey, you work with me, I work with you kind of shit. No, Sukuna literally is like, I don't need you.
Listen, all the Kaisen fans out there, they know. We all know. Fucked up shit happens to a lot of people. A lot of people.
Man.
All the time, everywhere. If you are a person who's saying to yourself, well, this shows the new hypeness, but I'm not sure I could deal with horror. Listen, this is some shit. This is some shit, okay? Like, I remember back when, like, what Bleach was airing, and they're on, like, the first few episodes. I'm like, man, it sure would suck to get devoured by a fucking hollow. Like, you know, this seems like a bad way to go. Nah, bruh. Nah. There's some absolutely god-awful deaths. God-awful deaths in this series.
My God.
The worst. Like, you know, Gojo was correct in the beginning, which is...
Oh...
The way
the manner of death.
You should be happy that your fave, if you happen to have a fave that is oft in this series, you should be happy when they die normally. Okay? You should be pleased and excited, because the way some people go out and the way you can go out very casually fucking sucks. It fucking sucks.
Oh my god! What?
It fucking sucks. Like, there were times I'd be reading chapters where I'm like, man, I'm so happy this isn't real. Oh my god.
No.
So
listen, I'm gonna stick it the fuck out. I'm gonna do this, okay? Because this is some good shit.
Yeah.
And also, Sukuna did give like a little bit of a teaser, basically being like, these people honestly don't even understand what curses are.
Right.
And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So if we like quickly run down the episode, we had the squad showing up at the detention center. We learned a whole bunch about like how Jujutsu sorcerers actually interact with the rest of the world. So this whole like dummies explanation of curse grades and veils, and then you kind of see how they're able to separate the public and sort of keep them from knowing what's going on, saying there was a gas leak. You get inside and they are immediately trapped in a domain. They don't really fully explain like in this episode like what domains are, but it comes up twice in the same episode. But bottom line is that they're in an area that does not physically correspond to whatever the fuck is going on in the real world. We have a reappearance of one of Fushiguro's Shikigami clones, a good doggy. You know, such a good doggy
good doggy gets
fucked. His head chopped off like instantaneously and embedded in a fucking wall. Like Nobara gets taken away, almost dies. I think she was just in a situation where her power was not like a good match for the curses that show up. Now it was also sort of off screen in the manga as well, but I actually think it's something that like if you're a watcher, that it's worth paying attention to the fact that it's not just about like how strong you are. It is really about the matchup between your ability and like whatever your opponents or the curses or anything else have up their sleeve. And
that's why they're like, you could go out at any time.
Exactly. And it's the reason why I always likened it, and like when I was reading it, to closer to Hunter x Hunter than to something like either a Bleach or Dragon Ball or My Hero or anything else that because really it's more about the matchup of the abilities and the creativity of the people who are using them than it is like raw power. Like Nobara canonically is actually really, really strong. Like really strong. But if she's in a situation where like her abilities just don't match up well, like for example, she was in a situation where there were just lots of curses. So because she was limited on nails, she was fucked and very nearly died. Fushiguro is the same way. Like his Shikigami abilities, even in what you've already seen, like we got the two dogs, we got the eagle, we got the snake, we got the frog. Like all of these are just tools, and he obviously has more tools, but like the way he uses them has to just be a good match with, you know, the situation that he finds himself in. Because even in the first episode, we saw him get like physically bodied by a curse, because the thing about most of his abilities are that like he could do a lot of projection, but when it comes to hand, like he can only really engage one at a time. And at that point, I think he kind of threw himself in the way of some shit, and then he was fucked, right?
Yeah.
It's real easy to go down against even a weaker, you know, a weaker curse. Now, there are some characters that are so absurdly overpowered, and not in the sense of like, you know, they're Superman shooting eye lasers, nothing can touch them. Literally, the qualities of their abilities are so insane that you're like, oh, well, fuck, that, I give up. Like, I don't know, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in a situation like this. But they are creative, like in the way that it's presented.
Oh,
so I think that this episode
this gets me excited.
Yeah, so this episode I think actually is a great introduction to a lot of that, and it continued the theme that has been basically true from episode 1 till now. Every single episode, well, except again maybe not episode 3, but the first 2 episodes and this one, when Itadori is constantly having his motivations challenged and refined, constantly getting broken down and to be built back up again by the circumstances he finds himself in. And also, even though he is literally OP, he's got Sukuna in there, like you always know, like that's the trump card. Realistically, he could die at any time. Like he has to,
I can see that.
because he would have to, like, if he's facing an ability where he can't concentrate enough in enough time to switch, given all of his other weaknesses and the fact that he doesn't really understand jujutsu sorcery almost at all, like, he is in constant threat. So it's a great way of, like, creating an overpowered main character that has, like, break moments that everybody can get excited about, but then at the same time, like, pushing that character into a world where they could die instantly in horrible ways in which all of their ability does nothing. Right? Remember how physically strong he was in the first episode and everybody was complaining?
Yeah, that doesn't mean shit.
It doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Oh my god. When he got hit through the fucking concrete and his body just hitting the ground, you could hear the bones cracking.
Right. This is actually what I was saying about that first episode, and like how I had friends who were like, "Oh, I don't want to watch this because he's already strong." I'm like, "Yo, the fact that he is like as comically physically overpowered compared to regular people is almost 100% irrelevant when it comes to the lowest level shit that he would have to deal with." Like, it actually makes the fact that the other jujutsu sorcerers are not as physically strong as him more impressive in what they're able to pull off. Like, he is freakishly...
And they've been at it long.
Yes, he is freakishly durable, and he can jump and he can run. But, like, if you're facing something that could literally divide your body into 18 pieces by looking at you, what the fuck difference does that make? Great, nigga, you jumped. Fantastic.
That means your legs are going to be sliced.
Right. So, a lot of cool stuff. We had the showdown with the... the newly born curse,
which honestly, I also felt, I was like, hold on a second, because Sukuna was making fun of him, and he was like, "You're special grade, too."
So there's levels to this shit. And
yeah, I was like, clearly, there's something else going on, because Sukuna mopped that motherfucker.
Did you like when Sukuna came out and his first reaction was like, "Okay, come with me, we're gonna go kill all the people"?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, he was ready. He was like, "All right, here we go." And then the nigga tried to shoot him in the back. He was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like this." Oh, okay. All right.
The fact that he came out, he was like, "Man, fuck this little kid."
He's like, "What's the first thing I'm gonna do? Oh yeah, what would make him upset the most? Let me just go kill all his friends. Let's just do that." And then he like healed one hand, and he was like on accident. And then the guy tried to kill him, and he healed the other hand. He was like, "God damn it! I was gonna leave him with like no fucking hand."
Which I honestly was, as soon as that shit started happening, I was like, "Whoa!" So we're just going full force on the gore. Mm-hmm. Like, we're hitting it, and this is episode 4 of 24.
So if body horror is not your thing, I'm just talking into the general public. If body horror is not your thing, you may have some problems with this series. You may have some problems, and for those who think that they're cool with it, I mean, you kind of got a little bit of a taste of like a human meatball today. It's not like it gets much better than that. Like, if you were on the last arc of Hunter x Hunter, and suddenly you were like, I'm kind of not comfortable watching people getting chewed up into bite-sized snacks by horrific monsters. Like, this may not work out for you. Just saying.
Oof.
It's a lot. Yeah, it was cool. A lot of cool stuff. Next week we get some 1v1s with Sukuna. Oh yeah, we also got we saw his domain. But they didn't really explain.
Yeah, that what was it? Not, it was a throne.
It was like demonic curse shrine or something like that.
Yeah, shrine.
Yeah. They didn't really explain very much here. It's interesting,
but that's in the opening.
Yeah, so the only thing I was curious about is because in the last episode they actually shifted some material that's from one of the most recent manga chapters and included a bit of it way earlier than they did, in the original.
Oh.
The stuff with Nobara's backstory with the girl, was it Sai something? I forget what it was. But
that wasn't in the first.
No. She mentions that she kind of has some comments offhand about how the people in the country are really bigoted and shitty, and she had to get out of there. But they didn't really. It really was not until within the last few months that they started to flesh out that story a little bit more with some of the scenes that they included here. So I thought that was actually they are taking some liberties with the material that's in the manga in a good way to sort of flesh out some of these characters a little bit earlier. So I thought, well, maybe they will talk a little bit about Sukuna's domain, since they use the term like domain and domain expansion twice in the episode. But they didn't, which is fine, because that's basically how things were rolling in the manga. So I was chill with that.